I think Evan is should be putting us on. Yes, we are now on Facebook, so that everybody who goes there thinks, welcome. For those of you who don't know me, I am Rabbi Rachel Esserman. I'm taking Rabbi Barbara's place while she's recovering. It's always a pleasure, though, to work with this group and stuff. So I have a story first. I'm going to put a little preface before it, just in terms of this story, I think has a nice message, but I'm not saying that people should get rid of their pensions, 401ks or whatever. You'll see why when I do it, but it's just, that's not what we're going for here. But so this takes place in Afghanistan centuries ago. And there's Shah Abbas. The Shah is like the word for king. He was kind of bored with his job. Things were there wasn't really much excitement. He longed to get out into the world and to see what was going on. So what he decided he was going to do was that he was going to go out anonymously among his people and wander around. So he takes off his crown and all his jewels and all his beautiful clothing and puts on beggar's clothing. And it's nighttime and he sneaks out of the palace where no one can see him. So he liked wandering around and he liked wanting to meet people. And nobody seemed to know who he was. Remember, this is the days before social media and television and newspapers, so no one would recognize his face. And on one of those nights when he was out wandering around, he met Kobe the cobbler. Okay, cobbler, for those of you who aren't aware, is someone who repairs shoes. So it was a very small little building where this Kobe lived, and the Shah knocked on the door and he said, "Is anybody home? Will you please help the needy?" He was pretending to be poor and needing aid to see what, people would be like. And Kobe opened the door and invited him into his home. And before you know it, they were sitting and eating and drinking, but there really wasn't much food. There was only some bread and a little bit of cheese. That was all that was on the table, and there was not even a really regular bed. It was like a sleeping mat. But the Shah was surprised because Kobe seemed such a cheerful, happy person, and that he had so little. So the Shah asked him, "Tell me, Kobe, what do you do for a living?" "I'm a cobbler," Kobe said. "So what if nobody's shoes needs mending?" said the Shah. What will you do?" I don't know," said Kobe, "but don't worry. I'll be fine." Oh, Shah Abbas said, "Oh, you must have confidence in your king that he would take really good care of you. "That's exactly right," said Kobe. "But not the king you're thinking of, not that spoiled, pampered man who sits there in the palace." And Kobe leaned back, kind of pleased with himself. Of course, he didn't know who the Shah was, and the Shah is trying to remember that Kobe doesn't know who he is because he's not used to being talked about like that or talked to like that. So he said, well, who are you referring to if not to that king? "The one that I have in faith in, the true God. I live by the words of the Psalms, blessed be God day by day, and it's never failed me yet." But Shah Abbas was thinking, I'm not really important to this little man, huh? I don't mean anything to him. Well, we'll see about that. So Shah Abbas went back to his castle in his kingdom and thought, I'm going to have some fun. So he was busy the next few days, because what did he do? He put out a decree that claimed nobody could repair shoes anymore, meaning that Kobe was out of business. So a week later, the Shah returns, dresses again in his poor beggar's costume, and returns to where Kobe is and knocks on the door. And figuring without a week without work, Kobe will be miserable and have no food. And Kobe opens the door and says, welcome, come on in. And the Shah is surprised. He sees candles, wine, fish, more food than there was the week before. He wonders, did he turn into a thief during this Shah says, "Oh, wow, what happened to you? This is wonderful. So how the shoe business is good?" "Funny you should ask," said Kobe. "You won't believe what that pompous windbag of a king did this week. He outlawed being a cobbler. I guess he wants everyone to have to buy new shoes." Huh. "So what I did is I found a few buckets and now I've been a water carrier. And guess what? The water carrier makes making more money as a water carrier than I was ever before. And I spent every penny that I had, my last penny, on this wine here. Here, have a cup." And the Shah took the cup, said, "Your last penny." And he was trying so hard not to show that he didn't like being called a pompous windbag that he spilled the wine all over his clothing. And the Shah said to Kobe, "Shouldn't you like put some money aside just in case something happens?" "God will find a way," said Kobe. Blessed be God day by day." So the next morning, there was another new royal decree. I'm sure you can guess what that is that nobody could be a water carrier anymore. So when the Shah went back to Kobe's house next week, because out of curiosity, he couldn't stay away, had to see what happened. He gets to the door and he knocks on it, and there's no answer. And he thinks, so much for hospitality, this guy's doing. Then he realizes there's this really loud singing coming from inside the house. So he bangs on the door till the singing stops, and Kobe comes over and said, 3 weeks in a row, how lucky to be able to see you. Come in." Well, the Shah's mouth dropped open when he saw Kobe, and when he walked into the house, because there was Kobe dressed in his beautiful robes, and there was food covered all over the table, way more than there had ever been before. So he invites the Shah in, and the Shah says, "Well, what happened? What happened? Oh, let's not bother to talk about, please. I want to know." "Well, let me tell you what that stuffed shirt of a king has done now. He forbade me from doing, from water carrying, for anybody being a water carrier. I figured, maybe the king is going senile. Maybe there's something really wrong with him. So I decided, I have a friend who lives in the palace. So I decided to go to the palace and find out what's going on." Well, you'll never guess what I found out. It seems the king likes to play dress up. That's right, he goes out of the castle and sneaks out of the castle palace by himself, and he thinks no one knows. He can't sneeze without somebody knowing what he's doing. Well, the last time he came back, his beggar robes were all a mess, and the servants were worried that he would go out again before they would wash them. So I said to my friend, "I'll solve your problem. You can have my clothes and you can use them instead." And in place of my clothes, they gave me these beautiful clothes that I'm wearing, and they gave me a whole bunch of food that has lasted me a whole week. Shah Abbas was so amazed. He just stared at Kobe and he couldn't think of what to say at first. And then Kobe says, "What do you think about that? That was all pretty wonderful." "What can I say?" said the Shah. "What can I say? Blessed be God, day by day." The Shah returned to his palace, and when he took off his beggar's costume, he hung it by his throne, so it will be a constant reminder whether it's someone's destiny to wear a king's robes or a beggar's rags are in God's hands alone. So that's our story for tonight. As I said, you still take your pension, still put away money in savings, but the idea that certain things that happen to us are out of our control seems to me something that's very relevant for what's been going on in the last year. So I like that. I kind of like that story. It's kind of fun with a king being amazed. And I'm willing to say, because sometimes it occurs to me, did Kobe know? And now the kind of simple, I'm not using that in a pejorative way, kind person who will let someone walk into his house off the street and feed him and being welcome was just Kobe's nature. So I don't think he had a clue who was visiting him. All right, we are going to do Havdalah now, and let me get here. I've got the blessings ready to, I open my word where I've got them. There we go. So here are the blessings that everybody can see in chat. We will start Havdalah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen Borei Puri Hagafen. I have a different custom from Rabbi Barbara. Mine that I learned is when you're supposed to do the action as soon as you possibly can after the blessing. So everybody's got their own way of doing it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei v'samim borei minei v'samim. And I'm gonna get, I wait a little bit to get my candle lit because otherwise it burns down too fast. Die 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 die. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei me'orei ha'esh borei me'orei ha'esh. Die 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 die. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil ben kodesh lecho ben or lechoshek ben yom hashvi'i l'sheshet tameh hamaseh. Baruch atah Adonai hamavdil ben kodesh lecho. And we put our candles out carefully. One of the first times I did something with a candle holder rather than holding onto the candle fell out and the wine splashed all over the place. And move on to Eliyahu Hanavi. Eliyahu Hanavi. Eliyahu HaTishbi. Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu HaGiladi. Bimhera v'yameinu yavo aleinu. Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David. And I invite you to take your mute off and drown me out when you can say Shavua Tov. Shavuot Tov, Shavuot Tov,
Shavuot
Shavuot
Tov,
Tov,
Shavuot
Shavuot
Tov, Shavuot Tov, Shavuot Tov, Shavuot Tov,
Shavuot
Shavuot
Tov,
Tov.
a
A
good
good
week,
week, a
a
week
week
of
of peace.
peace.
May
May
gladness
gladness
reign
reign
and
and
joy
joy
increase.
increase.
A
A
good
good
week,
week,
a
a
week of
week of
peace.
peace.
May
May
gladness
gladness
reign
reign
and
and
joy
joy
increase.
increase.
Shavuot Tov, everyone.
Shavuot
Shavuot
Tov.
Tov.
Loved
And
the story, Rabbi. I really did.
Great,
Yeah,
great story.
great story.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna cash in my 401.
I actually have it. You can see how, if you ever, Robin would probably have a fit when she would see how I sort of repaired it with just some tape. It's called The Year of Jewish Stories. That has some
Oh,
great stories. When I first started doing stories at BBC, then I had to find out with some other ones and things. But the stories that are in it are not just, I like it because it's not, cannot just be for children. I mean, the book is sort of like something that there's a week, the story every week to be able to tell your child, but there's a lot of them that have a good enough lessons that yes. Oh yes, I'm getting printed. Yes, you can end the Facebook stream. Thank you folks on Facebook.